But first... Hey everyone, I'm Logan.
And I'm Jen.
And this is Surprised by Marriage. Today, we're going to talk about obstacles. Obstacles to intimacy. Right, babe?
Right. We're just going to talk about 5 obstacles, although there are many, many more than that. We're just going to focus on 5.
Babe.
What
is intimacy?
Intimacy. If you look it up on Google, Google will tell you that intimacy is close familiarity or friendship or closeness. So in marriage, we should be striving to be intimate. And yep, maybe we should just get to the obstacles before we ruin it.
All right, so we're going to go over 5 obstacles that we've come up with that play a factor in getting us closer to one another intimately. The first obstacle to intimacy that we're going to talk about is thinking that intimacy is just about sex. What?
Right. It's not just about sex. When you are married, you should be intimate in several different ways. Physically, which doesn't just mean sex. Emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, all of the things.
And these things are important because it always seems like when we are trying to be intimate physically, something comes in the way. For instance, Jen just randomly got poison ivy on her legs recently. So
yep.
I ain't coming near that because I'm allergic to poison ivy, as she is, but I'm more allergic, so...
Right. And it lasts a good week before,
Yeah. So relating that to what we're talking about, we can strive to be more intimate with each other since the physical part is not doable.
Because before the poison ivy went away, I ended up getting sick and there was just a bunch of things happened where we couldn't be intimate physically.
I was sick, she was sick.
Which is just really frustrating. But we could still be intimate, even though we couldn't do it physically. Oh my gosh, sorry, awkward. We could still be intimate emotionally and spiritually and all of that. So it's important not to use those obstacles as an excuse to not be intimate in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Second obstacle is putting someone else first. I used to be really terrible about this. I think as women, we probably tend to do this more than men, but we put other people first. I would always tell my friends things first instead of him. And when you're doing that, you're that's not helping your marriage at all. So I have been making it a point to tell him everything first before I tell anybody else, before I tell my mom, my sister, my friends, all of that.
Yeah, because I feel slighted when I don't, I feel like I should hear news first. And when I find out that I'm almost the last one to find out, I don't feel that connection.
Right. And if I'm telling all these other people first, then I forget to tell him because I already have told several people and I just assume that I've told him even when I haven't, and he feels slighted and
remember, your spouse is supposed to be your best friend.
Yes.
And you want to tell your best friend everything first. You don't want to you don't want your best friend to hear it from a third party.
That's
because,
true. And I used to not be able to really say that he was my best friend honestly because I was putting all these other people first, which now that I have started to put him first, he is totally my best friend. And we have to remember in the Bible how it says we need to leave our father and mother and cling to our spouse. We need to remember that in all different areas.
The third obstacle to intimacy that we're going to talk about is being plugged in. Now, we did a whole video about this, and let's just say in today's day and age, a lot of people seem to be sucked into their phone. You need to learn to unplug.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you're having more of a relationship with your phone than the person sitting right next to you. Because we can both be in a room like this, Jen. Okay? And then we're not being intimate with each other. We could be like this. We're still not being intimate with each other.
It's definitely a barrier to intimacy. So we set rules or guidelines or whatever. And now we don't even have to set those really because it's become a habit to just not have our phones by each other when we're spending time with each other.
It's a good revelation, and it's probably one of the hardest things to do in 2019.
Because when we got married, this was not an issue. We've had to kind of learn.
So if you need help, check out the video that we did on this.
Yeah. The fourth obstacle to intimacy that we're going to talk about is being busy.
Yes. Someone once told us that being busy in your marriage, let's just say busy has an acronym that puts everything into perspective. Jen, what's that acronym?
Being under Satan's yoke. Which it all comes back to priorities and putting your marriage at the top of the list instead of the bottom of the list. But it's so true when you hear that, being under Satan's yoke. Satan wants us to be busy and wants us to forget about our spouse. And
yeah, if we're focused on doing other things, how are we supposed to be intimate with each other?
Yeah.
Like,
if you're finding that you can't have time with just your spouse, then you need to definitely reevaluate so you are not busy.
Yeah. Trying to make your marriage a priority can go a long way into this, and it takes effort. And
yeah, it takes time together to be closer and intimate with each other.
Mm-hmm. And the last obstacle that we're going to talk about with regards to intimacy is not being vulnerable with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to share what's on your heart with your spouse.
You have to share the hard stuff.
You have to let them know what's going on inside here and inside here.
Yeah. That's how we've realized over the years. We really just tell each other everything now. Because that's how we've grown closer together. That's how we get to know each other better. That is how we will get each other to heaven. Because we can't if we don't know what we're struggling with. And we're not sharing those things with each other.
We understand there's different personalities. There's people that like to keep things inwardly. And there's people that are easily to share things outwardly. Even when it comes to like certain things, whether it be emotional thoughts and opinions, I struggle with, and so that's a new thing that you have to work on. But you got to understand that your spouse is there as an extension of you. That's why they call it your other half. So you got to let your other half know what's going on, and being vulnerable can go a long way to growing in intimacy.
Yeah, we have a couple of blog posts about that, and we'll link to in the description.
Mm-hmm.
All right, those are our 5 obstacles to intimacy, although there are many, many more. We hope that's been helpful for you. And if you want to maybe talk about another obstacle that we didn't talk about in the comments, we love to talk about it. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
We're going to be intimate with each other.
Oh my gosh, stop.